One of the internet's largest hacking forums has just been seized by the FBI, but then unseized? Also in your hacking news roundup, Europol was hacked, revealing law enforcement's playbook, and this Dell breach is pretty embarrassing. But first, BreachForums is under the control of the FBI, reads the seizure banner. This is the second time BreachForums has been taken out by the feds. BreachForums 1.0, which was run by the infamous hacker Pom, was taken out last year, and shortly after that, BreachForums 2.0 spawned, being run by one of the site's original admins, Baphomet, in collaboration with the threat actor Shiny Hunters. But now, just a month before its first birthday, the new forum has also been seized. The source of the breach seems to be its main admin, Baphomet. His personal site has disappeared, and his Telegram channel is hosting a message saying that it's under the control of the FBI. There's been no PGP signed update from the guy, leading to Shiny Hunters presuming he's been arrested. However, there is some confusion here, because typically when the feds make such a high-profile arrest, they're quick to brag about it in a press release, but in this case we haven't heard a thing. It's been suggested that Baphomet could be a minor, which might be complicating things, but there's also rumours that this was pre-planned, that BreachForums has been a honeypot all along, and Baphomet is himself working with law enforcement, though there's absolutely no evidence of that. At the time of its demise, BreachForums 2.0 had over 150,000 members, which have now all been made cyber refugees, which raises the question, where will they go? Well, when BreachForums 1.0 was pwned, we saw a bunch of small forums spawn, trying to fill the void before BreachForums 2.0 appeared and quickly won that battle. But this time things might play out a bit differently, because just 24 hours after the feds took it over, the BreachForums domain is back in the hands of Shiny Hunters and now points to a Telegram group where its users are regrouping. It seems that whilst the feds did manage to seize BreachForums' server, they didn't manage to grab its domain, which uses a .sttld, which is administered by a small island off of Africa. And so Shiny Hunters seems to have just pointed the domain to this new splash page, and so it's quite likely that BreachForums will soon be back in action. That being said, that doesn't mean this operation is a complete failure for the feds, because the real prize here is all that juicy data that the feds now have access to. We're talking IP logs and private messages, which law enforcement will no doubt delicately comb through, taking advantage of any small OPSEC mistakes made by BreachForums' high-profile users, whether their VPN dropped at some point, or perhaps they unintentionally doxed themselves in a DM, as happens to BreachForums' former owner Pom. The feds will be quick to capitalize on any mistakes. And sifting through all that data might not take very long at all, because it was recently announced that Microsoft has spent the last 18 months creating a version of GPT-4 specifically for the feds to use to analyze mountains of data. It's only just been deployed, so perhaps this will be its inaugural use. The FBI is also hoping that former BreachForums users will start spilling the beans on each other. They've even set up a dedicated site where users can rat each other out. The next couple segments of this video also involve BreachForums, but FYI they were made just a couple days before the takedown. A BreachForums user is selling a treasure trove of data stolen from Europol. To be specific, the files were exfiltrated from Europol's Platform for Experts, which, in Europol's own words, is a collaborative web platform for specialists in a variety of law enforcement areas. The platform has a forum, blog, and wiki, and I kinda get the feeling that this is essentially BreachForums, but for the feds, where law enforcement agents across Europe can gather to share details on how they can improve their operations. Of course, such a platform is strictly invitation only, but they've had an uninvited guest. Intel Broker is a highly respected user within the cybercriminal community. They're a mod on BreachForums and has been responsible for many other high-profile hacks. But when it comes to this latest breach, they posted several sample documents as well as screenshots as proof, and they even leaked a sample of a database exposing the users of Europol's platform, including the names of some law enforcement agents. However, the number of stolen files and overall file size of the breach is unknown. It's not hard to see how this dump could be highly useful to cybercriminals. If they can get a better understanding of how law enforcement works, then they can adapt their operations to avoid detection. In fact, former dark web vendor, doing Fed Time, who you should totally check out, is very clear that one of his main sources of OPSEC education was simply reading court documents about how other vendors that came before him were caught, and this data dump would no doubt be a nice addition. Europol responded to the breach by simply taking the platform totally offline and releasing a statement, saying the platform itself wasn't hacked per se, rather the intrusion most likely resulted from just a single user's credentials being compromised. They also downplayed the breach, saying that only a small and limited part of the platform could be accessed. This is because the platform is segmented into various communities, like subforums, and you have to be individually invited to each one. However, Intel Broker gained access to the communities dedicated to cybercrime and cryptocurrencies, which pretty much covers all the bases in terms of what cyber miscreants would find interesting. Unsurprisingly, Intel Broker was only looking to sell the dump in exchange for Monero, and in fact the very same day the post was made, it was marked as sold. So this isn't a dump that's going to be made publicly available anytime soon, though that being said, many private dumps are eventually leaked online for one reason or another, so maybe one day we'll get a peek. As you can imagine, BreachForums users were pretty elated by this breach, with some suggesting that maybe Interpol should be next. New details have emerged about a recent breach affecting Dell, which are pretty embarrassing for the company. So a couple weeks back, a hacker posted on BreachForums claiming to have a database of 49 million Dell customers. If you bought a system from Dell after 2017, you're probably in here. It includes your name and physical address, as well as details about your order like what you purchased and warranty info. Of course, the user, Menelik, is looking to sell the database, but he didn't name an exact price. The breach was confirmed to be legit when Dell sent out notification emails en masse to all the victims, but what Dell didn't mention though was how painfully easy it was for the hacker to gain access to their data. It turns out the breach just really wasn't a breach at all. In an interview with Bleeping Computer, the hacker explains that he discovered a portal for partners, resellers and retailers that could be used to look up order information. I'm pretty sure this is the portal in question, given the sign-up page is apparently down for maintenance. The hacker explains that he was able to register multiple accounts under fake company names and had access within 2 days without verification. It's very easy to register as a partner, you just fill an application form. The portal provided partners the ability to look up arbitrary customers via a product's 7-digit service tag. A service tag is just a 7-character long alphanumeric code that's unique to each individual Dell product. And after looking up a tag, the hacker was given the name and address of the customer who bought the product. But to make matters worse, the portal had no rate limiting at all, so the hacker was able to write a quick script to continuously pull the data from random service tags, and simply leave the script running at 5,000 requests per minute. And after a couple weeks, he had the records of 49 million people. Funnily enough, after amassing all this data, he actually sent an email to Dell letting them know about the vulnerability. However, I think it's fair to assume the logic behind this email is that so Dell fixes the problem before another hacker has the chance to scrape it as well, which would greatly diminish the amount he could sell the database for. And it seems the miscreant is already coming up with ideas for how to profit. This information would be very helpful to tech support scammers, as they would know the precise information of the system and its owner. They could contact the Dell customers and convince the victims they are contacting from Dell support. Dell, of course, downplayed the breach, saying the risk is minimal because whilst there are names, physical addresses and hardware info in the breach, there's no email addresses or phone numbers. And whilst Dell does have a point, the real danger comes when a bad guy combines this breach with another breach, using a certain column of data to match different records together, making the dump a whole lot more valuable to those tech support scammers, for example. As always, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.